This is my Ifootage Shark Slider Nano. Now, I bought this about 2.5, 3 years ago for use on the channel. When I bought it, I actually tested it and made some content about this. And a little while ago, Ifootage reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in taking a look at the new Shark Slider 2. Now, what's interesting about the new version 2 of these sliders is the fact that they've built them in collaboration with DJI, allowing you to be able to use them with the RS2, a newer version of their gimbals. This allows you for not only multi-panning shots, but you can even do subject tracking as well. Now, what we're going to do today is take a look at the new version 2 of the Shark Slider. I'm going to walk you through some of its features and capabilities, and then at the end, I'm going to share with you my thoughts comparing it to the original one. Now, before I do that, I just want to be crystal clear. I purchased my original Shark Slider Nano. However, Ifootage have sent me the version 2 for free. However, they've not paid me to make this video. They've not seen this video before it's been published. And as always, my thoughts are entirely my own. Now, as I said, when I got my original one, I went with the small one. However, for this review, I actually chose the bigger of the two, and the reason for that was I think I actually got it wrong. I thought the smaller one would be fine for what I do, but having spent 3 years with this, I actually made a mistake. I think I should have gone with the bigger one from the start. And what I would say is, if you're thinking of getting yourself a slider and you're not sure what size you need, if space isn't the issue, go with the bigger of the two. Whilst this slider does allow you to mount it on a tripod, so you can get twice the movement that you see here. So for instance, if I mount it, it goes from there to there. If you're using it in a table platform, you are limited from there to there. And as a result of that, I should have gone with the bigger one. Now, what we're going to do first of all is take a look at what you get inside in this kit, and then we'll take a look at the new slider in a bit more detail. Now, just like the first one, it comes in this nice carry bag. It's got handles on the top that allow you to carry it around. This is how it comes once you open the main box. Then inside, if I spin it around, you will find the slider itself mounted in the bottom. So we have some instructions and stuff like that there, which we'll look at in a minute. If I peel that up, you can see the slider down there. It's got some straps that hold it in place, that allow you to release that. Can be a little bit fiddly to get out with those straps, but as long as you use one hand at a time, you can lift it out. And there it is. And we'll look at that in a second. And then also in the kit is all the accessories. So up here, we've got all of the adapters and everything that we need. And we've also got a bag of cables as well. Walking you around the main slider itself. Now, the outside is an aluminium extrusion that goes all the way around. We've got carbon fiber rods then here, and then you've got a belt system that runs down there, which is attached to the motor that moves the main sliding head back and forth. Now, as you can see here in the middle, we have our connections for our tripod, our mounts. We have a 3/8 and 2/4. What you'll notice on this compared to the Nano is this one doesn't do that crossing over like the Nano does. So it has a maximum travel of 433 mil. It doesn't have the ability to double the travel if you were to put it on a tripod. Now, looking around, we have an OLED display over here for our controls, and then we've got our power and function buttons. We've got our main travel head in the center. This features a 6-pin P power connection. This allows it to pass power out to various heads that you can mount on it. One of the nice features about this slider is that it has a USB-C power input there. That supports power delivery 3.0 60 watts, and that can be used to power everything, including devices, because on here you can see that there's a power output as well via USB-C, and then there's these little pads here that will also provide power out if you are using something like the DJI Ronin gimbal. This unit also supports an NPF battery input as well. That is on the side there. I'll put some B-roll up so you can see it. And it has a locking tab for that. Now, looking around the slider, there are 3/8 and 1/4 inch fittings mounted all over. For instance, if I flip it upside down, alongside the ones in the middle there's another 1/4 inch there, another 1/4 inch there. There is a 1/4 inch in the middle of the battery bay. There is then a 3/8 and another 2 1/4 inches on that end down there. If you look on the side of the head itself, there's a 1/4 inch there with a joystick mount. And then on this side over here, there's another 1/4 inch mounted on the back. So there is connections for mounting things onto this all over the slider. Another nice feature of this slider is the fact that it has integrated adjustable feet as well. So here you've got your 2 feet, and then on each side you've got a little thread that you can adjust that will then push the feet in and out, allowing you to stabilize it when mounting it onto a table. Now, as standard, this is a 2-axis slider. We've got a horizontal, and then we've got our pan. If you wanted your tilts, your rolls, and 3-axis movement, you're going to want to use it with the likes of the DJI Ronin gimbal. Another nice feature on this is the fact that it is compatible with the 50mm Instalight bases. That means that you can slide them on and clamp them up without any issues. And it also has a little built-in spirit level as well. Now, as I showed earlier, included with the gimbal is a bunch of accessories. First of all, we have a power supply. This is a USB-C power supply to allow you to power up the gimbal. Now, this is a 65-watt GNAN rated power supply with a USB-C port on the outside, and that then has a USB to USB-C connector for plugging it into the gimbal. But as I've already shown, you can use it on battery if you wanted to. With regards to then our mounting plate, we've got a number of options. You've got your standard camera plate for the 50mm mount. Now, this is a bog standard traditional plate, 50mm width. As I've said, it's already compatible with some of the other accessories out there as well. We've got a 1/2 inch and a 1/4 20 on there as well. It's one of those types that has the thread that goes down around the outside. So this would simply slot on and lock onto the top of the slider, and then you could mount your ball head, your gimbal, or whatever you wanted to on that if you wanted to. We then have an included smartphone mount. Now, this is a bit of a double one. This will mount onto this bracket here, allowing you to use the slider with your smartphone if you want to, but this can also be mounted on the top of your camera. It's got a standard fitting there for mounting onto the hot shoe, or the cold shoe, I should say, and that is going to allow you to use it with the tracking features with the DJI gimbals. We'll talk about that a bit more later on. This isn't metal. This is made of plastic. It feels like nylon, actually, than plastic. It's got a nice rubber grip there. It's extendable, and it rotates as well, and that has a 1/4 20 in the bottom if you wanted to mount it onto there too. We then have the interesting plate. Now, this is the one that is compatible with the DJI gimbals. This allows you to mount your DJI gimbal directly onto the slider. So if you look around this, on the bottom there, we've got some pogo pins. If I just undo this, slide this out and unlock, you can see we've got the pads there. So that is what provides the power up into this base. There is a USB-C output on the back of this as well. We've got one there, but there's also one there. And then you've got the pads there for the DJI gimbal. So I can slide that in, lock that in place. Also included with that is this little power piece here, because on the front of this, I didn't actually show you that, there is also some pads there with a magnetic connector. That will go onto that one way, and that then allows you to mount that onto the side of the gimbal as well, again providing power where needed. What's nice is that it does have this integration with the DJI gimbals. It is compatible with a number of the models available from DJI. As of today, that is the DJI RS2, the RS3 Pro, the RS4, and the RS4 Pro. Now, I don't have the newer versions here, but I will talk about that a little bit more later on when I get my hands on one for testing. Now, alongside all of that, we've then got this bag of cables. Now, there are a lot of different cables in here. They give you lots of options depending on your camera type, because you don't have to use this with a DJI gimbal. You can use this with your various cameras that are out there, and they do provide cables for this. So, for instance, this is going to allow you to have shutter control over the type of camera that you've got. We've got battery input options. We've got different connections here for different cameras. You can see there, that's standard USB, and they're all labeled differently. So you got S2, we've got DC2 on that one, DC0, N3, E2, and then L1, depending on what your model is. Now, alongside the slider, they've also released this, their PD140 battery grip. Now, this is designed to be directly used with this slider. It's a 17,500 milliamp hour external battery that will not only power the slider itself, but due to that single power input and the multiple outputs, it can power all of your accessories that are attached to your slider too. Now, this is quite a chunky aluminium cased battery grip with a rubber housing on the outside. This is designed to be specifically used with the slider, but you could use this with anything else as well. For instance, it's got a USB-C port for the input and output, supports power delivery 3.0, all of the usual voltage protocols, so 5, 9, 12, 15, 20, and 28 volts. It supports fast charging, about 130 minutes. And as I've said earlier, it's got a rating of 17,500 milliamp hour. Now, looking around it on the top, you will see that there is a quarter 20 there that does push in, and there is also another quarter 20 input on the bottom if you did want to mount it onto a tripod. We've then got our USB-C port for our power in and out, and then we've got a power button that gives us a little indication of what the battery level is. It is a really nice, strong, tough thing, and Ifootage even say that it has been designed in such a way that it is safe for overnight charging. What they mean by that is you can leave this on charge, making sure that it's then ready for use the following day. Okay, so to power this up for the first time, what we're going to need to do is remove the sticker on the display so we can actually see what we're doing and get access to our buttons. We'll pop that down there. I'm going to pop USB-C into the front, and I'm going to use the battery bank for that. And you can see there the LEDs have come on. And then if we press and hold the power button, we should see the display kick in on the slider. Now, we just now need to do the setup. So we're going to select English. We're going to then have a look at screensaver sound, language, about, and user manual. But we're all okay on that, so we're fine. And then we're on to the main menu. Now I've got the setup done, we can also connect it to our smartphone. Now, Ifootage have their own app, which you can download. You can then select your slider from the list, and once it's connected, you then have the options for either using it with your smartphone, which will allow you to have all of the overlays and everything on the screen, or you have the option of using it with a camera, which we'll be taking a look at in a minute. And then you can go into there, into the camera settings, and then you can see it gives us all of the options that are available for the control of this, as well as some of the options that are available for your camera as well. And we'll take a look at that when I've actually got it connected on my Panasonic. Now, on the main unit itself, you've also got the main controls. So you've got your individual presets. So you've got video, time-lapse, stop motion, macro, and panorama, as well as our settings that we went into earlier. Now, if we go into video, this is going to be the standard mode that we would use. So for instance, under here, if I click on the three little dots, we have the option for the direction. So AH or HA. So do we want it to go that way, or do we want it to go that way? We can turn it to loop, so it'll go back and forth. And then we've got our delay as well, which is there. We've then also got our settings. So we got our setting A and setting B, and those settings are for where we want to position the slider. Now, if I unlock the head by pressing those two buttons, that now means I can move this freely, as you see here. Now, to be able to set up a move on this is fairly straightforward. We've got our position, so you can see we've got A, B. If I scroll along, we've got up to 8 positions that we can set this on, 8 keyframes, 8 waypoints, whatever you want to explain it as. And then we've got our settings. So what we're going to do is a quick test maneuver. So I'm going to position that so that is pointing that way there, and I'm going to set that as A. I'm then just going to move that all the way up to the end. I'm going to rotate that. So again, that's looking back there. So as if I was looking at a single subject. I'm going to scroll across and press B. Now you can see that it's set a time on that. So if I was to do nothing now, it would just do that move across and it would take 15 seconds. However, if I tap the clock in the middle, we can then go into this and set the time. So how long we want it to take. So if I click on time, we can say 1 second, 2 seconds. We can say we want it to take 20 seconds for the maneuver to happen. There we go. And then we can also set the speed as well if we want to. Again, these two are linked, so it depends on what speed and time you've set, but you've got the options for that too. I'm going to leave that as it is a minute. So we've got 20 seconds set, hit standby. So that's going to move it to the position it's in. What I can now do is tap each button to test it back and forth. So if I want it there, no, I want it there. It'll move back and forth, so we can do it manually, or alternatively, I can hit start and allow it to actually perform the maneuver itself automatically. Now you can see I've got the loop option turned on, which means it's going to keep doing it automatically. It's going to move all the way through and it'll then go to the end, slow down, and then it will start again and then loop back and forth. So you can set it so it does that. So if you did want to have this sort of constant panning back and forth shot, you absolutely could, or you could do it as a single maneuver as you move through without any problems. Now, if I just hit end on that a second and confirm that, we've still got the settings we had there in place. I can go back in and I can change things such as the speed instead. So if I set the speed to say 35%, click back, you can now see that the time has changed. It's going to take 3 seconds because you're either setting speed or you're setting time. So if I now hit start, you can see we're now doing it via speed and it's moving much faster back and forth. Confirm that ending, go back in, or I could say, you know what, I want to do it really slowly. So I'm going to do it at 1% speed. That's going to take 1 minute 40. I'm going to turn that on. And now you can see that we have a really slow move taking place. A really slow pan across with that moving as we move through. Now, on top of this, we also have the multiple waypoints option or the different positions. So if I go back to A and send it back here, I'm going to delete B a minute because we don't want that. So I'm going to now set B as something else. So I'm going to set B, just unlock it again. I'm going to set B as that there. And then I'm also going to go, you know what, I want another stop there with the camera moves right that way for C. And I want to finish off with the camera looking forward. I'm going to set that to D. And now we've set multiple different positions for the moves. You can see there's times between each one. So again, we can set individual times between each maneuver as well. So what we're going to say is, you know what, I want that to be fast. So let's set that to 6. So that's going to be slow, then fast, then fast. So if I then hit standby and hit start, you will now see that it's going to move quick, slow down. So each maneuver, you'll then see it go to there. We're going to hit that point which I added, and then it's going to swing back around for that next point, continuing on its journey back to the position I had it at the end. Now, just to show you that same maneuver at a faster speed, you can see it there, goes to point 1, point 2, point 3. So again, you can do these really nice multi-position shots with the built-in controls. Now, we also have the other modes available as well. So we've got time-lapse. This allows us to do a time-lapse feature. So again, you've got some additional settings under this. You've got interval settings, output time and frames per second settings. I'm not going to show you that in this video, but there are options for it there as well. We have our stop motion option. This allows us, again, to do things and control it manually. So you've got output time and frames per second, and then you've got the ability to set that. So if I just kick this off, you will see what I mean. And what you have the ability to do is control your camera and set the position. So for instance, that center button there, if a camera is attached, would trigger the shutter, and then I could tap it across and it'll move it to the next position, trigger, move it across, trigger, move it across, and it allows you to manually control the positions as per what you've set up. And that works like that. We've got macro mode, which gives us much finer controls over things. So again, if we go under the timings, you can see we've got the step size control and the interval control. So if I click on step size, we can go down to really, really fine levels. With the position and the accuracy that you have in this, you can see you've got millimeter or you've got micrometer. So we can go down to really small step sizes. So I can go to 0.1 step sizes, interval of 1 second. We've got a position set there already, so I'm going to go to that, and you can see it's 404. So I'm going to set it back, click start, and you can see now that it's doing really, really small steps, allowing you to do really fine macro moves. Again, we can go back in, we can set interval, so we can actually set the interval at 0 if we wanted to. Step size, set the step size to micrometers. Let's go 10 on that. So there we go. There we are. Hit start on that. Let that go back. And you can hear now that it's doing really very fine step sizes, and it's going to do 21068 steps. So again, we're telling it to do really small steps as it's moving through, and you can have a play with this and adjust this. It's going to take some messing around to get an understanding of exactly how this works, but you can hear the individual steps there. We've then also got our panorama mode, which again allows us to set a start point and an end point and the degrees. And again, that's going to allow you to use that panorama feature. Now, all of this is also explained in the manual. You can get this on the app as well. I'm not going to go through every single mode or option, but what's great is in the touchscreen app, they do give you a download of the manual option, and you have all of the options available in your controls, walks you through all of the modes and everything, so you have an understanding of exactly how it works. Now, as I've mentioned several times, one of the real nice features on this new Shark Slider 2 is the fact that it is compatible with some of DJI's Ronin gimbals. Now, I don't actually have a compatible model here at the moment. I'm going to pick one up and do some testing on that in the future. But the real nice thing about these features is it allows you to program in a lot more complexity. You've got your 2-axis movement on the slider as standard, and then you can use the additional movement, but the additional stability that the Ronin will give you as well. They do show this on the website and they talk about it on the website, but there's not a lot I can do in this video to show you that, but it is some features that I intend to look at in the future. Now, in the meantime, I have been doing some testing on this slider. I'm not going to show you a great deal of footage, but I have been testing it compared to my original slider that I bought. So far, what I can say is everything looks really good. The movements look nice and smooth. One observation I have got is there seems to be a lot less stepping on the yaw motor than we had on the previous slider. Everything is looking really nice, and I'm going to be continuing to test this as time goes on. But so far, in the use that I've put it through, it seems to be working absolutely fine. But obviously, with a product like this, it's actually quite hard to give you a complete overview and a total it's perfect or you want to be careful of this or that in a very short review. It takes a lot of use and a lot of time to really get to grips with how the product performs. But what I can say is everything I've seen so far looks really, really good. Now, with regards to buying this slider, it is available from various retailers, but you can also order it direct from Ifootage. They have it listed on their website. As I've said, they show all of the compatibility with the DJI gimbals. It's available in the short version for $649, or the long version, like you've seen here today in this video, is available for $749. They also have their battery grip available as well if you wish to purchase it, and they also have a whole host of information on their website about its features and capabilities, as I've discussed here today in this video. Now, that's it from me on this one. I want to say a big thank you to Ifootage for sending this over. There will be a link to it in the description. Finally, I just want to say, if you have found this video interesting, please do consider checking out the links to my Patreon as well as buy me a coffee. This one is slightly outside the wheelhouse of the things I usually discuss. However, it is a product that I have used a lot of, so I did want to see how this compared to what I had in the past. And so far, it's looking really, really good. Anyway, that's it from me on this one. Stay safe. I will speak to you soon.